Stadium
Yay,
applause.
stadium applause.
Stadium applause.
Hard intro.
Hard intro, stadium applause, and good afternoon. Good day, good evening, wherever you are. You have landed at Distill It, a 360-degree view of life in sports. My name is Wendy Rosenthal. I am your co-host, along with the fantastic, the fantabulous, the most awesome Ava Schwitzer. How are you?
Fabulous. Welcome back.
Thank you. Yes, I got to do a little vacation right before my son went back to school.
A little road trip. Always fun. I love road trips with the kids.
Can I just say one thing? It's the first time I've been to Vegas in my entire life
Is
where I
that
have not
right?
put
Oh.
where I have not put one penny on a gambling table or in a slot machine.
Nothing, huh?
Thank you, Kurt. You know, I actually truly appreciate that because that was very hard for me to do.
Was it?
Very hard for me.
I'm surprised you and Mike didn't take turns watching watching David so you could go in.
Mike hates to gamble.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, maybe I can get through this 3 days and not do it. And I did it.
If I walk through, though, I'm happy to throw in a few coins, but I can't sit there and imagine spending money at a table, hours on end just go by.
We are going to have to do a show on actually betting with sports.
Yeah.
Because that's a ginormous business. And
it is.
I actually would like to find out more about it. So that's for
Okay.
future shows.
All right.
Before we continue on with our conversation, I want to say hello to Kurt, our engineer for today. Thank you. We were at the UBN Go Studios. Hi, Kurt.
Hey, how you doing?
We're awesome. Please feel free to jump in anytime.
Of
We
course.
often like that
Yeah,
voice.
I'll jump in when I have a thought.
We love it. We are in the UBN Go Studios, as we are every other Thursday at 1 o'clock on the Pacific time zone. And we are very happy to be here today with a guest who we have had on before, and she's back again in studio with us after almost 2 years, and we were very, very excited.
And after having launched a whole new venture, which we're very excited to talk about.
Exactly. Charisse Browner, thank you for joining us today.
Hi,
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I absolutely cannot believe it's almost been 2 years.
Can you believe it?
No.
It shocked
not
me
at
when
all.
I went back and looked, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
It felt like really only yesterday. But
Isn't
that's
that
true.
wild?
Really.
Isn't that wild?
We
The
all
time
been
goes
very
by
busy.
We have been.
We've been very busy, and
busy
we love
and
the show.
productive.
Busy ladies.
Yes, it's a good thing.
So Charisse is here today, and we're going to start to talk about it in a minute. But Charisse is here today to talk about, as she was the last time she was on the show, philanthropy in sports, to tell us about her new venture. But, you know, sometimes we do shows that have power and meaning. We like to believe this. Every show.
Every one of our shows
Every
has
one
so
of
much
shows.
power.
But power
and
meaning for
meaning.
those not in sports.
Yes.
So this is one of those topics where I think what Charisse is going to bring to the table is something for anybody who is listening that is interested in philanthropy, interested in giving back, how to do it, why to do it. And yes, of course, it's rooted in sports because many of Charisse's clients are athletes, and there's a special role I think that we need to talk about of how athletes contribute and give back to where they come from to promote and use the field of platform and all of that. So I definitely want to get there, but I'm excited about all the places that the conversation can go because Charisse is like an amazing person who has
A fountain of information.
a fountain of
Yes.
information.
Well, thank you. Thank you. You guys know sports a lot better than I do, though.
Okay. Well, as always, before we start talking about all of this, I want to give you the opportunity to call in anytime, comment on our Facebook pages. The phone number is 323-524-2599 for any comments you have. If you want to use our Facebook pages, I'm always looking around to see what the comments are and happy to share. And before we start, as we do every single show, we spend a few minutes talking about what is going on in the world of sports.
Well, we already know what you want to talk about.
Well, so
what's gotten under your skin?
No, I'm going to let you go first. What's gotten under your skin? What's happening in the world of sports that's interesting you?
Well, there's tons of stuff. I mean, there's tennis that I'm excited about. I always like
The US
Biker
Open.
shorts.
Open.
Biker shorts.
It's fun, and that we always end up talking about Serena and what she's wearing.
Yes. It's always
Always.
a topic. Always
just-
a topic. We know she can play tennis.
We know she can play tennis,
Yeah.
but what is she wearing today? What controversy will she, cause today because of what she decided to wear?
And as a
on the
cyclist,
court,
I
you
saw
know?
that, and it just made me immediately pull up the story. And I said, "Well, what do they mean biker shorts? Is she
Right.
literally out there with biker
With
shorts?"
biker shorts.
Yes, she was.
Yes,
Good for her.
She didn't have the padding in there, but yeah, she
didn't
was
have the
out there
padding,
with
but she had the biker
Can you
shorts.
imagine
It
if
was
she had the
fabulous.
padding? That would have been even more funny.
Oh gosh,
Can you imagine
That
that?
would've been hilarious.
By the way, speaking of tennis,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna have the name of it, but I didn't realize there's this new kind of tournament tennis that is like team based. That's kind of, I don't know, happening around the world.
Okay.
Sponsored by whatever sports company is sponsoring it.
Yeah.
Where the tennis players are on teams and they play like round robins and they sometimes they're doubles, sometimes they're singles, and like Venus is playing in this, and it's kind of like the Big Three basketball tournament that started.
Yeah,
I was watching it the other day. It was really exciting because it's shorter sets. It's I don't know if the court dimensions are smaller. They seem a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
So it's meant to be fast paced.
Arena tennis.
Is it arena?
Well,
it's like arena tennis.
It's like arena football, half the field.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's really fascinating. I saw it the other day, and I'm like, I hope that this kind of lifts up because
that's what's fun about the sports world. It's so expansive, and there's always something new and some layer to something that you haven't yet, found and delved into, and it keeps things exciting.
It keeps it very exciting. But I think what's interesting about it is how. And this is true, as we know, for all of the leagues, they're having, and the sports organization, the governing organizations are having to expand and, think out of the box in order to keep audience share. I mean, to be honest with you, and I think also to create celebrities.
Yeah.
The whole Big Three basketball tournament is about, taking former basketball players and creating celebrities out of them after their careers, which I think is, again, something we need to delve into. I would love to get somebody on who could talk to that.
Yeah.
But the same thing with tennis. Like, what other things can we do to make this sport alive and living beyond whatever the perceived season is? Once the U.S. Open is done, everybody kind of goes to sleep until the Australian Open happens. Even though we know there's plenty of tournaments around,
exactly.
There's a lot going on. It's not. Yes, it's televised, but it's like on ESPN3 or whatever.
Right.
So it's like we're having to up our ante, and I think it's great for all of us sports fans who like to watch different types of sports, but don't always get the opportunity.
Yeah, there's always something out there for us.
But especially now that football season's back. I get so tired of me. It's like, I'll talk about football any day of the week.
She gets very excited.
What I wanted
to come football season.
Flag football now.
Yeah.
Well, that's what my son is starting to play next week or in a couple of weeks. Oh my God, I got asked to coach. I was like, I just don't think I could do that. Anyhow. So regular football, not flag.
Oh, I call it flag now. It's just not the same football as it used to be.
Oh, you mean because every 5 seconds they're throwing a flag?
Every 5 seconds there's a flag. You can't touch me.
Yep.
Yeah. No tackling.
No,
How do you feel about that? Because you obviously come from, big football family. So, I mean, having grown up around the game, watched the game, been married to the game, have kids play the game.
I'm sort of on the fence as far as, what's taking place now. Mm-hmm. I think they need to let the guys play. It is a brutal sport. We know that. So is boxing. So is,
Right.
By the way, I always use this example. Soccer or football proper also has a tremendous number of head injuries because of heading. Yes. So it may not be as brutal, but it certainly can be as dangerous.
Sure. And, I do believe people they know that, the guys that play, and they sign up for it. And so let them play. But on the other hand, I think, grandson, do I want him to play football?
Right.
Until I do believe that they need to come up with better protected helmets.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because that's what I wanted to talk about today.
Yes.
So Antonio Brown, who, by the way, I'm a huge fan of. He was on the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I don't know if you remember, but even though LA is first.
Yeah.
Maybe San Diego second now, but Pittsburgh is right up there.
Yeah, you're still kind of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, totally. I love Pittsburgh. Yeah. Love Pittsburgh. And I was very sad to see Antonio Brown leave. Mm-hmm. So he goes to the Raiders, and he walks in, and he's supposed to start, playing, and he refuses to because he wants to wear his old helmet. Besides the fact that he ruined his feet in a cryo chamber, which I don't know how that happened. Having done it ourselves,
because he didn't wear the protective gear.
Yeah, well,
right.
There's that protective
gear. But who let him in without wearing?
Yeah. So he has an issue.
So his feet are all messed up. But let's say his feet are gonna get better.
Right.
He didn't want to play because he wanted to wear his old helmet, which has now been banned or not approved. Let's say not banned actively, but not approved by the NFL.
Yeah.
And he literally has sat out for all of his training camp. He hasn't played in any of the preseason games. It's become a very big deal because he didn't want to wear the helmet that's approved. Now,
has he tried on the helmet that was approved? Has he tried it on? Has he played? Has he practiced in it?
He hasn't done it. He just doesn't want to do it.
I just want to do what I want to do.
What I want to do, and I want my helmet.
This is a conversation that we've had. met a few contacts, people who are working on developing these helmets that really can
Yes.
not prevent concussions, but really reduce a great deal of injury. And they said that without incident, the greatest backlash they're facing is from the players themselves. The players very much want to wear what they have known, what they have become accustomed to, what they know and feel works for them, and they don't believe the NFL should be telling them what they have to wear.
Well, but you're employed by the NFL.
Right.
I mean,
Well,
you
you're
know.
employed by the NFL, and when you wear something that is clearly potentially more dangerous than what they're offering now, and you, God forbid, 1,000 times get hit in the head and have a
Right.
severe injury, who are you going after?
Sure.
Yes.
You're going
And I
after the
should say
NFL.
contracted by the NFL, not employed.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But you're going after the NFL.
you are. Right.
You know, and you're going to state that, it's dangerous, football's too dangerous, and they didn't protect me, and da-da-da-da. So
Yeah.
So it just shocked me because not only it ended up going to an arbitrator. It wasn't just like, let's have a controversy about this. It went to court, and the court ruled he has to wear the new helmet. And then he went and appealed, and he didn't want to play.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's part of your uniform. I mean, the guys can't go out there with any jersey that they want. They
Right.
can't
You
go out
have to
there
wear
with
the
any
jersey of the
pads
team you're
that they
playing
want.
for.
They have to wear what the team has issued them to wear.
Sure.
So I don't really understand his argument.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand.
I don't
that.
understand the argument. I don't understand how it was allowed to go on so long. It brings up and I don't want to say this because he's one of my favorite players. Like, it brings up entitlement. It brings up, it for me, it represents such a FU to your team, your teammates, that you're so important that you don't need to show up at training camp. Show up and wear the helmet and fight your battle, but show up.
Show up and do the work.
And now the whole conversation is around, what are the Raiders going to do? What if they don't, how can they get out of the contract? What are the guarantees? And now it becomes a whole, let's get Antonio Brown out. Well, they may not feel that way, but this is what the media now is representing instead of the core issue of, like what you're saying, it's super simple. This is the helmet.
It's the uniform.
Yeah.
I mean,
Deal with it.
That's the uniform.
Sure.
Deal
Period.
with it.
I mean, you just have to wear what they're telling you to wear, or don't play. I mean, that. I thought it should have been kind of cut and dry like that.
So if you're listening, Antonio Brown, we would very much welcome
Yeah, no,
a
and
phone call to let us know.
I'm sure he's a
your
great
point of
guy and
view.
everything else, but I'll tell you, if the new helmets are helping. I
Sure.
know there's an organization called Defend Your Head. I know there's another company, Vicus. They all are working towards safer helmets. And if there's, after I saw the movie Concussion,
Right.
which is 100% accurate.
Yeah.
I don't know why you wouldn't want to wear something more,
Sure.
I get it.
safer.
Look,
Sure.
I get it from a perspective of I see better in my helmet. I move better in my helmet. Especially a wide receiver who's, turning
Right.
around trying to catch a ball from out here, and they need to see. I can see 1,000 reasons. Mm-hmm. And if he wants to fight it, I don't have an issue. Fight it, but don't not show up.
Yeah.
Don't not show up. Don't let your teammates down. You wanted to be on the Raiders. They're paying you an ungodly amount of money. Show up.
Yeah.
It disappoints me every time an athlete does this. It really pisses me off
Yeah.
because I feel like they're not using their platform in a positive way. What are you showing kids? Like, I'm a spoiled, rotten brat who wants his way and is going to sit on the bench until I give it. It's kind of like what Le'Veon Bell did last year, which really pissed me off.
I mean,
too.
he just really doesn't have it, because I haven't necessarily followed the story that closely, but he doesn't have an argument? What's his argument? I just want to wear it.
I want my helmet.
I just want my helmet.
Yeah.
Wow.
I want my helmet for the reasons I'm saying.
Spoil little brat.
It's
Want my helmet.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. I want my helmet because I play better. It's more comfortable for me. I see I have better visibility. Whatever the reasons, I want my
But
helmet.
didn't one of the Patriots, didn't one of the Patriots for the last year have that issue and said that they wanted to wear their own helmet as well?
There was someone.
Yeah, it was. I can't remember who it
there
was,
was
and he
someone.
ended up getting to wear his helmet too.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You won?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
So
apparently
this is
this
gonna
Well,
go.
it
helmet.
didn't go to court or anything like
Right.
that. It just said,
He just
I'm
got
wearing
it.
my helmet, and he did.
Well, I guess now that the NFL has officially said you can't wear
Well,
this
and-
type of helmet anymore,
and
then
they hadn't
it's up
changed.
to.
They hadn't switched over.
But now they have
hadn't switched all the way over.
Now they definitely have, and it's up. The teams have to follow. Like the team had
Sure.
to say,
Yeah.
"Sorry, you got to wear the helmet."
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry just for that rant, everyone. But I really believe, we talk about all the time on this show, that sports is a metaphor for life.
Yeah.
And we are huge believers in standing up and advocating and
Absolutely.
using the platform that you have to make a
Absolutely.
difference in the world. And
Sure.
again, hopefully that'll lead
Taking
into
a
what we
stand
talk
and holding
about.
your ground. Absolutely.
Got to do it, but
Within
then
reason. There's a balance.
I see Kurt. He's just like,
I'm just saying, I'm looking
Jump
up right
in,
now.
Jump in, Kurt.
He stated to USA Today that this lid is ugly as expletive.
Oh,
Yeah.
see,
So it's
there
just
you go.
ugly.
It's just
Yeah, he
ugly.
just doesn't like the look of it.
helmet is ugly?
Yeah, he thinks it's ugly.
Well,
Well,
there
your
you go.
brain is ugly. I mean, after a while, when you switch
That
it around.
battering and bruising.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not, I mean, it's a very serious issue.
that's what I'm saying. He just says, I want my helmet. It's
Yeah.
like, there's no, it's been a fight for weeks now.
Yeah.
For weeks. And look at the people who it just irks me.
Maybe we can run a contest and have like some kids paint it or something like that.
Make
you
it
Make
know?
it look like
pretty.
they could
Yeah,
raise some money.
Yeah.
Raise some money. All right. We've said a couple of things that have been awesome segues. I don't want to
Yeah.
pass them up. Thank you, Kurt, for your contribution. We are
You're welcome.
loving it.
Because that's a great note to end on. It's just ugly.
It's just ugly.
It's just ugly.
That's my reason.
Yeah.
So, Charisse,
Okay.
I want to let you spend some time talking about your past, where you're going, and where you have brought yourself to today, which is a very exciting venture that is carrying on from some amazing work that you've done. But the important thing that we want to talk about with Charisse is the fact that there is so many ways to give back in the world, and especially as an athlete. And I think a lot of people don't realize that they can make a difference through their whatever platform they're on. And so I want to look at not only just the side of an athlete that decides I want to create a difference and what that process is and the journey is and how you support that, but also for any of us who feel like we want to make a difference in the world, like how can you do that through philanthropy? Even if you don't have, $1 million like an athlete might have to kind of dump, I don't say that lightly, but like put into a venture.
Yes.
So why don't you start by telling us a little bit about what you do, what you've been doing, and where you're going.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've been involved in the nonprofit industry since I was 14, so 2 years.
Which makes me only, I don't know, 13.
Right. No, I started when I was 14, actually, and I've just been very intrigued and passionate about the nonprofit industry and philanthropy since then. Last time I was here on the show, I was working for an organization where I learned a little more about donor advised funds and fiscal sponsorship, and a lot of people don't know what that is or what that means. And so I have since left and started my own nonprofit organization, which is called Impact Philanthropy Group. Yay, IPG.
Yay. Can we get an
Give
arena?
me some
Let's
claps
get an
there.
arena. Come on.
Yeah, give me some claps there.
There you go.
Thank you. And and really, in just shortly over a year, our projects have successfully raised over $1 million for nonprofit organizations, and I think that's pretty awesome.
That's
when
amazing.
The average charity, their revenue is around $250,000. We're talking, about 2.3 million charities in the United States, about 82%. Somewhere around that number, stay in that $250,000 range.
Which
So
is
I'm really
no
happy about that.
small number.
It's not a small number. It just goes to show too that the competitiveness of having a nonprofit organization, and everyone goes to the same
Sure.
companies for money. Everyone goes to Walmart. Everyone goes to Target. Everyone goes to Coca-Cola. I mean, these are. It's what people, the first thing that comes to mind, and that's how people say, I'm going to raise money by asking, Coke to give me $50,000. Well, stand in line. It's about 200,000
of you that want to do that.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
I think it's so fascinating, and I really want to take this tack if you're happy with it.
Yeah.
That philanthropy is a business.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a big business, and yes, the
Yes.
benefits are immense to those who are helped through this business. But
Correct.
It's a business, right?
It is
a
definitely a business, and I tell people the nonprofit industry it just means that you're exempt from taxes. It is a corporation, and it is set up as a corporation. So therefore, when particularly athletes, when they say, I want to create a nonprofit foundation, just understand that it is a corporation and it should be ran as such. Meaning, we understand that your buddy from high school is great and all that, but he may not be qualified to run your nonprofit foundation.
Sure.
So At IPG, what we do is we act as a fiscal sponsor. And what that means is we're the parent organization, and the nonprofits that come under our umbrella, they're not really nonprofit organizations. They're called projects. So they fit within our mission of what, we stated to the Internal Revenue Service as to what we do from a public standpoint, a public support standpoint. And so because they utilize our tax ID number, we have oversight of their projects. Now that I know about fiscal sponsorships, the ins and outs of it, I just think it's what people, athletes, celebrities, people that don't necessarily have the time to run the day-to-day operations, or even, I want to say, to pay attention. Fiscal sponsorship is the answer. It really is. A good fiscal sponsor. Because they're going to keep that athlete's name out of the papers, and what I mean by that is there have been so many times where, not purposely, but the person running the foundation may have done something, that they thought was okay with the IRS, or that, was okay, and it really isn't.
Yeah.
And there's so many things, so many rules, and so many policies. It's a ton.
It's kind of like the what did you call it before? Like the startup, not the startup, like the
incubator.
Incubator.
Yes.
Thank you. Of charitable organizations, like a place to start.
It's the place to start, because a lot of times, I was just talking to one of an NFL player's mom just yesterday, actually, and they gave backpacks because now it's school time, and a lot of players are doing that right now. They're giving, they're buying backpacks.
Who just, it was in the news?
I'm not.
Oh, Kawhi Leonard.
Okay.
And the Clippers came together and they gave like 50,000 backpacks.
Oh, that's a lot. Yeah. So, and that's generally how they start off. They do the backpacks. She just let me know the other day they're now taking blankets to a hospital. And so they start off in that area, and that is philanthropy. Taking blankets to someone that needs the blanket, that is philanthropy.
Sure.
However, to me, and with under fiscal sponsorship and with the right type of strategy and the philanthropy expert to help you with that strategy, you can take it beyond that. So you might be buying, all of these blankets from Target, let's say, and I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm supposed to say names on here.
You can say anything you want.
You can say anything.
Okay.
if they're upset with us, we'd be very excited about that.
At least you're listening.
At least you're listening, and we're happy about it.
Just imagine that you go into Target as an athlete.
Sure.
You have the money, you have your credit card or whatever. You go in there and you buy $10,000 worth of blankets, and you're being very philanthropic, and you're giving the blankets away to the hospital or whomever. But just imagine if you took that a step further, and you talk to Target corporate and said, hey, what is some of your corporate social responsibility initiatives? This is what I'm doing. Would you like to partner with me? And so those are some of the things that I really feel that athletes have that platform, and they're able to do that. A lot of times they just don't know how to do that, and they don't know how to go about it. And if you have, cousin who doesn't have the nonprofit background, they're not going to know how to, manipulate that strategy either.
So you threw out the key word for us, which is strategy.
Yes.
We love talking strategy and creating strategy and executing strategy. So what does that look like for you? A client comes to you and says, I would like to do X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
And you say, what does that mean? And they aren't really sure. How do you guide them towards creating a strategy and then helping them execute that?
Well, it just depends. We had... I can speak on one of the athletes before, and this wasn't through IPG, but this was through my other employment. The athlete came to us and said he loves dogs.
Yeah.
He loves dogs. All of his friends are pretty much firemen and policemen, and he wanted to do something philanthropic.
Sure.
Okay, so you just take those three things and you sit down and you just kind of, it's not a one stop, and it takes time. A lot of times people think you start, a nonprofit organization and you have it all together. You really don't. It generally takes a good year, 2 years to get a foundation just off the ground.
Okay.
And it's okay to change. It's okay to change your mission. It's okay to change your objective.
Yeah.
And you just don't know sometimes. So that particular athlete, probably you would
I know.
love.
I know who it is. I know who it is. I'm not saying anything because I don't know if I'm allowed to, but I know who it is.
Yeah, but I can say it's Ben Roethlisberger. So what he ended up doing was he created a canine program where he funds canines to fire departments, police departments, security shops that are on university campuses, and he pays for the dogs, or he pays for the training of the dogs, or he pays for the equipment for the dogs. And where he was so brilliant, the team was so brilliant with this idea was he gets positive publicity. Where have you seen positive publicity on the opposing team in the city of the opposing team?
Right. So when the
Wherever
Steelers
they
go play in New England at the Patriots in Boston.
Right. So when the Steelers go there, he's selecting a police department in that area that is receiving, a canine, or receiving equipment, or a canine car or something.
Great.
That was brilliant.
Yeah. It was
but that's strategy.
Sure.
And it's brilliant strategy. And which brings me to a point about the difference now between, say, an athlete like Ben Roethlisberger, who has a name, who has, the ability to use his platform to promote this, and somebody who doesn't. So, so I find it fascinating, and I think that athletes can use philanthropy to actually help their brand.
Absolutely. I believe that as well. And you might, if you're not the star of the team, you can still build relationships, and it doesn't have to be with a major corporation.
Right.
It can be with most businesses want to do something where they have a social responsibility initiative.
Sure.
And it's about, tying into those people. I always say the first people that you talk to are the people that you write a check to. So as an athlete, who am I writing checks to?
Yeah.
It could be my local cleaners. It could be the local bank. But
Sure.
these are people that you probably should go and talk to,
Right.
and just have a strategy of, this is what I'm doing. But not only this is what I'm doing, but what is your platform? What is it that you're looking to do as a business in the community, and maybe we can do it together.
Exactly. So you aren't starting from scratch. You are, on the one hand, but at the same time, just leveraging existing relationships already.
Exactly. Because there's definitely a relationship if you're writing a check.
Sure.
There's already a relationship there. Yeah.
So, but what happens if you're not a star athlete? Because again, I think this is such fantastic information for anybody who's interested in philanthropy on any level, right? How does your strategy, do you look at a strategy in the same way as you would an athlete, where, either building the project as a brand, or, the people that are like, do you recommend that you do get people who are, who are well known or have some kind of bigger influence that maybe the person who has the idea for it, or it doesn't really matter? Is it just you take advantage of what you have?
Are you talking about for the athlete?
No, I'm talking about if you're not an athlete.
Oh, if you're not an athlete.
As I was saying, like with an athlete, even if you're not a well-known athlete,
Right.
you're still, I am so-and-so, I play for the Clippers.
Well, I'll tell you, when my kids were in high school, I actually raised about $150,000 for their high school. I'm not an athlete. I'm not a star or anything else like that. But I went back to the model of go to the people who you write a check to. And that's exactly what I did. I went to the local grocery store. I went to the local cleaners. I went to the banks. And all of those people were supporting the high school football team, my daughter's swim team, And so you don't have to be a celebrity to leverage. I think what you have to do, though, is to be passionate about what it is that you're doing, so that you can really talk to what it is that you're trying to do. But also where people make a mistake, too, is they think it's all about them and their project.
Right.
And it's not when it comes to companies. Because companies, at the end of the day, they want to make sure that they're hitting their marks as well.
Right.
So it's very important to research who you're talking to as well. It's a simple go on their website and find out what they're doing in the community.
Sure.
And if they don't have a CSR initiative, maybe bring one up for them.
Right.
And you help, and that's where a fiscal sponsor comes into play, one that helps you with that type of strategy. We're not asking you to figure this out all on your own. That's what we are here to help you do. That's what fiscal sponsors do.
And how have you managed athletes when they've either inappropriately used, or do they inappropriately use their foundations and that platform, or when they get into trouble? Like, what's the...
Knock on wood for Micah or whatever.
Yeah.
We have not had that issue, but that does happen. So my clients, they do hear no from me, and I'll tell them why. It's not just a no, but I explain to them why, and it's generally whatever the rule is under the Internal Revenue Service. I'll take, for example, if an athlete has a donor advised fund, and someone brought this up the other day. They have a donor advised fund, and they know of this youth that wants to go on this mission trip to, a foreign country, and they want to pay for that student's trip. You can't do that.
Oh, really? How
No,
come?
because you're giving money to an individual. And that's not public benefit. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, and they just didn't know.
Right.
So just imagine if the person running your foundation doesn't know that and they let you do it.
Yeah.
There are no true watchdogs that are, looking at your organization day in and day out, but athletes, celebrities, people of high network value, they're targets. And so they're going to be scrutinized a lot more than, Joe Blow that has a foundation that may have slipped and did something like that.
Right.
Another thing is if you save a donor advice fund, and that means you're the one who's funding, you yourself, you can have a donor advice fund and the money is coming from you. Where people make a mistake is they'll put money into their donor advice fund and they'll have an expense and they get reimbursed on that expense. Well, you can't get reimbursed on your donation.
Right.
You already made the donation.
Yeah.
So it's things.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because
it
that's like,
happens.
duh.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's common sense, but
Right.
it isn't in a sense because people just think, oh, well, I donated the money. I already donated money and I ran across this family. So I just, bought them, all these toys or whatever it is that they did and they want to be reimbursed for it. Well, no, you can't. Yeah,
Right.
you can't. That can't come out of the money you've already donated.
Exactly.
We have a question on Facebook. How many companies are subs or what the projects of IPG? Like, is it, and you have to, meaning like it's not 2 or 3, that this is your business and this is that you have a number of projects underneath.
We do, but not all of our projects are fiscally sponsored.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not all of
What
our
does that
projects.
mean?
Okay, so you can be a nonprofit organization. You can be a standalone 501c3, and we still help manage the back office administration, your books, whatever. Because we do a smorgasbord of of services that people may need. So you may have a small nonprofit organization that doesn't have a CFO and they don't have anyone that's managing the books. Well, we can do that.
Oh.
Or you may have somebody that just needs, some consulting, assistance with strategy. And they're a nonprofit organization. They just want help with strategy. The other thing, too, is a lot of nonprofit organizations don't run as effectively as they can. And so there's an opportunity where we can go in and look at what it is that you are doing and make some recommendations. I actually did that not too long ago, not in a formal sense, but I had a conversation with another player's mom. And,
I love this. It's the Players Mom Network.
The moms are like really, really involved, and they're awesome. I just think that they also, unless they come from that background, they do need that support because there are so many other ways that you could be raising money and again for strategy. But what she didn't understand was why they were not raising as much money in his hometown as they thought. And, it's a very small community that he comes from, and it's not, the community itself is underserved.
Sure.
And I said, well, to go into an underserved community to try to raise money from an underserved community is a little bit of an oxymoron.
Aren't a whole lot of resources
it's
to
an
tap into.
oxymoron,
Yeah.
Has he had a fundraiser in the city where he plays?
Sure.
No.
Yeah.
Well, that's the low hanging fruit right there. Is have a fundraiser in the city where he plays first, and then from that you go back to the city where he was raised, and you give a free camp or you do a free
Yeah.
Now that's another thing that brings this thought into my head. Expectations. So if I'm an athlete of any stature at all, even if it's just me saying, hey, I'm this 4th string whatever on the the LA Rams, I would expect that I would have almost no problem raising money. And what you're saying is that that's not always the case, that even a celebrity who, or maybe not a celebrity, but an athlete who can say, I'm currently a player on or whatever,
Yeah.
still has problems going in and
Still
raising
has-
funds.
Yeah, they do, and you would be surprised. You know, if there's a fundraising event, you know, companies have budgets, and they pretty much decide where those budgets are taking place around October for the following year.
Yeah.
So if your event is taking place, say, in June, and you've just now putting out your marketing material in March, a lot of people could care less that you're the star player
Sure.
on
Right.
any team.
Sure.
You're now trying to ask them for money, and there's a huge lack of planning there.
Yeah.
You know, and you may have missed their, you know, their window of who they're going to fund for that year. They always have some discretionary funds, but if you're talking about a lot of money,
Yeah.
you might get 5,000, 10,000, you know, 15,000 here and there. But
Right.
if you're talking large amounts of money, that
You gotta
takes
catch 'em at
strategy.
the right time.
Yeah, you do. You
Yeah,
do.
exactly.
And it's cultivation. That's the other thing too. You have
Yeah.
to cultivate these relationships with people, and it takes time. We have an example where we have one company that is funded, you know, at a small amount for one of our clients, and now this has turned into a huge partnership, you know, for our client to where they're, you know, they're looking to build this massive building for that's going to be a sports complex, and so. But that took time.
Sure.
You know, that wasn't, they just didn't go and say, hey, look at us, we're building this great project. You
Yeah.
know, can you just give us the money? It just doesn't work that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, because IPG has its hands in so many different projects. Let's say I don't have a company. I don't have a nonprofit. I'm not looking for fiscal sponsorship. I don't need consulting, but I have money to give, or I have time to give, and I want to share somehow. Can I come to IPG and you tell me, look, I think you'd be ideally suited for this project we've got on the table here, or you could, you know,
We
send
could
your funds
definitely-
this way, and
yeah.
you could do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
People could come to you and volunteer, is what I'm saying, or
Yes.
give money through IPG to a variety of projects that you're already working on.
Yes, we do. We get quite a few emails of people that do want to volunteer. They've
Yeah.
heard about our projects. They live in the city of where some of our projects are, and they
Okay.
definitely want to volunteer.
Yeah.
So we do make those connections to whoever the, you know, the day-to-day person is for the project.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do get individuals that, you know, have dollars, and they don't necessarily want to do exactly what you said. They don't want to create a nonprofit foundation or don't advise fund, any of that.
Sure.
So yeah, we definitely help them. What's called vetting a charity. And
Sure.
so that's looking at the charity and really understanding
deciding where.
what, who they are, what they do, ratios, things like that. You know, program costs versus administrative, all the rest of that.
And what's general in that sense? What when you're looking at charitable organization, what is a good ratio?
You know, there's a lot of controversy about that.
Really?
Oh yeah, it is, because some people would say it was generally 30%. You know, where you didn't want your administrative overhead costs more than 30%, so that more money is going towards projects. But it just depends on the organization and how it's set up. You know, because if your staff are the ones that, you know, is the program is, you know, they're say tutoring or something like that, those numbers can be kind of skewed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it can be skewed. So it's called the overhead myth. So people should really look that up, because, you know, some people say, oh, well, their administrative cost is too high. Not us, but just saying a charity, their administrative cost is too high. Well, that might not necessarily be the truth. You're not necessarily just paying a CEO $500,000.
Right.
Yeah.
You have other costs.
There's other costs,
Right.
and there could be other reasons why.
And those costs could be actually benefiting in the way
Exactly.
that they're supposed to
Exactly.
be. It's
Exactly.
just depending on how it's set up.
Right.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So the overhead myth has been around for a couple of years now, and it's really trying to debunk that mindset that people have, because it's hurting some of the smaller charities.
Sure.
It does. And so, you know, in the smaller charities, I call them community-based organizations, they do excellent work. You know, they're the mom and pop shop on the corner that has, you know, the latchkey kids that are, you know,
Sure.
coming there after school. So it doesn't mean that they're not as effective as, you know, a huge, you know, YMCA or something like that.
Yeah.
So.
And you've seen athletes setting up foundations and obviously putting money into it. How do they raise profile? So you gave a little example of what Ben Roethlisberger does, but I have to be honest, I'm clearly a big fan of his. I don't know that I would have known that he's doing that. So
Yeah.
how do charities raise profile, or how do athletes use their position?
Some of them don't. Some
really?
of them, yeah, a lot. Some of them don't want, the publicity behind it. They genuinely just want to, just give and just do what they do, behind scenes and not the real big. And I'll tell you, I think the ones that really get to me is when I look at a newspaper article and it's an athlete and he has this really long receipt that hits the ground and he just bought a bunch of stuff for, it's great and everything, but sometimes it makes you wonder, did you really do it, out of just the kindness of your heart, or did you do it for,
for the publicity?
Yeah. So,
but do you mind seeing people use it for publicity? Again, I'll go back to the strategy.
I don't if it helps the cause.
Right.
If it's going to bring you more companies that support the cause.
Got it.
Then no, it's wonderful. Use it in that platform. And that should be part of the press release, is that, we did this with this company, and we're looking for more. We're looking for more people to come on board, join us in this effort and what we're doing, that kind of language out there.
Also, many of the leagues do and require their players through the teams to give a certain amount of time, and I don't know if they require money, but they do push them to do it anyway. So
yes.
I know the NFL, the NBA for sure, like all the major leagues are sending their players out there on the behalf of the league.
Right.
Yeah, you have to be careful with that. I did speak with a director of player personnel from a team, and he struggled. He really struggled to get the guys to show up. And I said, well, why do you think that? And he says, well, because we make them do it on their day off. They get one day off. Yeah. We make them do it on their day off, and they choose where the player is donating his time or putting his money. That's not.
So the players have to put in money through that, or
my son actually had to. He got fined because he refused.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because he didn't. That wasn't the charity he wanted to support.
Well, I can understand the time part. Like if you're part of the team and the team supports X, Y, and Z charity in the local market or whatever, I get showing up, signing autographs, fine. But having to give money, that seems wrong. I don't like that.
He felt that way too.
And forced to give money to a particular organization that doesn't resonate with who you are and what you believe in.
Exactly. So. And this is even with, I have a workplace giving payroll deduction background as well. And that's, companies struggle with that as well. I know of companies that the leadership would select 6 nonprofit organizations and tell the employees, this is who you're going to support.
Yeah.
Well, I might be interested in cancer.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So why do I have to give to these organizations? Why can't I give to cancer?
Sure.
So, philanthropy and giving is very individual, and that's how it should be. It's what you're passionate about.
Absolutely.
It shouldn't be what someone else is passionate about. That can influence your giving. Like your cousin or somebody could have cancer, and you say, oh, because I want to support you, but you should not be told
exactly
what your philanthropy should be. Yeah.
So how is it that leagues are allowed to do that then, in terms of the money side of it?
I don't know. I don't know.
Was your son fined year in and year out, or was it just like a one time?
No, it was a one time.
And did the organization then give his money to the charity?
I have no idea.
Boy, don't you want to find out? I want to find out.
No,
I want to know.
We'll have our son on the show. We'll get some more details.
I just know he had a bad taste in his mouth
about
the organization, and he doesn't even know the organization. He's never dealt with the organization, but that's not where he wanted to give his money.
Yeah, exactly.
So the reason I brought it up, which I'm now shocked to hear what you just said, is I was thinking about how does, again, an athlete, if they choose to elevate their giving,
profile,
their profile, what they, not their profile per se, but what they're supporting when they have to be giving amongst, a pool of pre-chosen organizations.
Yes.
Well, and I think that was probably a very, I can't imagine other teams. I just can't imagine that this is like league-wide or anything like that. It may have been just this particular team. Who knows? But you also, I mean, what you do with the team, that's one thing, you know, that's sort of your employer or whatever, but you just create your legacy, because your legacy is really not going to be what you do through the team. Your legacy is going to be what you do beyond your playing days, you know. And so I think that it's really important, and it's not for everybody, you know, it's not for every player, it's not for every athlete, it's not for every celebrity, whatever, but
Doesn't make them bad people.
it does not at all. It does not, because more than likely they're supporting other folks,
people.
family, and all the rest of that. That's still philanthropic.
Yeah.
So, but I do believe that those that want to continue on with that, that's where you just start planning for that, and you start building for, you know, what is it that you're going to be doing. It would be great that once you finish your playing career, that you go right into, you know, being an executive director of the foundation that you've built over the past, you know, 5-10 years.
Yeah, we always talk about transitioning out of a life in sports, and that's like a really interesting way to do it and still be giving and still being able to earn a living. Because remember, we'll go back to philanthropy is a business, and people do make salaries. It's not like they're not allowed to make salaries, and it's not, you know.
And it's not, you know, it depends on what it is that you're doing and your budget and everything else. I don't know why people think, you know, people in the nonprofit industry make $30,000 a year.
No.
I mean, that's not the norm.
Right, exactly.
It just depends on where you live, but
you
still
can live a good life.
But it's a decent living, you know, and you know what's most important is that you're doing work that you're passionate about.
Absolutely.
You know, and I go to sleep very well at night. You know, because I know that I've, you know, through the work that we do, that we're helping other people.
Right. I'm curious to hear what changes you've seen in your industry, or what changes you're excited about, you know, that are up and coming, or what you would like to have shift in the work you do.
I just think to see smaller businesses really understand the importance, and I think that has a lot to do with, was it Y generation? Who's the generation now?
I stopped listening after mine.
I forget what letter we're on now.
I forgot what letter we're on.
Actually, really, I kind of stopped listening after millennials because they're kind of annoying.
Okay, millennials.
Sorry,
well,
Kurt.
At least as I'm sure.
No, but I think what's exciting is to see smaller, and when I say smaller, I mean just not the Amazons of the world.
Right.
But that companies really are starting to understand and get that it's, if we can all just get together and support, you know, societal issues, and this would just be a much better world. I mean, just plain and
That's
simple.
another thing that we're a big fan of, collaboration.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, you know, when you look at how many businesses are out there that don't have a CSR initiative, and it could be something really small.
It's really simple.
You know, just support the local school.
Whatever. The local baseball team, whatever it is.
Yes, because sports is struggling. You know, arts is struggling.
Absolutely.
Just imagine if you're that company that supports that initiative.
As time always does, it flies by.
Yeah.
So we want to give you the list, the last couple of minutes, to make sure that you talk quickly just about your team, who's on your team, and how people can find you guys, reach out to you. They want more information.
Well, they can definitely find us on our website, which is www.ipgrp.org.
Okay.
Or they can just put in Impact Philanthropy Group.
Yep.
And so we have our John. You called me out here, and I don't have my list of my people. It's like my board and everybody else. Oh my goodness.
Well, we'll just call you. We'll just call you. It's fine.
And you have a website.
Did that for me.
They're all on the website.
They're all on the website, absolutely. And if anybody has any questions, they can certainly get in contact with me directly.
I want to highly encourage our listeners to do so, particularly because I think everybody should be giving back in one form or fashion. And I know Charisse is so open to at least having a conversation and saying, hey, if you're interested, this is what the options are. So give back today. And come watch us in a couple of weeks' time, because we love having you all here. We want to thank you very much, Charisse, for being here again.
Oh, thank you.
We're trying to get you on again with your son. You might get tired of seeing. No, you will never get tired of seeing Charisse.
I'm gonna bring him on because he's great on the radio.
Yeah, no, we want to have you come on anytime you want. We thank you so much, Kurt, for supporting us today and for chipping in. You can find us on all of your favorite podcast platforms, as well as our website, thedistilleryinc.com, iTunes, Stitcher, Castbox, Google Play, Spotify. Please, if you like anything that we're saying, share, tell your friends about us, like us, and subscribe to our sites. Ara, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We look forward to seeing everybody in a couple weeks. Have an awesome day.